Hi there. Today I want to talk about a special tool to track graduation credits to help increase your graduation numbers if you are a high school vice principal. And it's a special tracker. I want to share with you a tool that you'll be able to access to help keep your graduating students in line to receive their diploma at the end of the year. So hi everyone, my name is Daphne Walbridge from the First Year Principal, and I help new and aspiring principals narrow that first year learning gap through conscious leadership and by sharing practical tips and tricks. So today I want to talk about a tool I discovered through the program I followed that last summer with the Harvard Graduate School of Education. They offered a certification program, and they were sharing all kinds of great frameworks and tools. And today I want to talk about this tool. It's a student graduation tracker, and it was presented in one of the case studies. And I thought it was really a great tool. And I'll give you a screen share in a few minutes. But basically what this does is it helps the school keep track of students' progress starting in grade 9, because research has shown that as of the 9th grade, if a student fails a course, the risk of not obtaining their diploma increases because they've already failed in grade 9 and they get discouraged and they kind of don't see the end in sight. So this tool helps track every 12th grade student to make sure that they've met the requirements, that they're on track. And if they're not, there's a system in place within the school to make sure they succeed. So just a little bit of a backstory. When I was a high school vice principal, so I'm from Ontario, we had an MTSS, so a multi-tiered support system in my school basically for the entire school. So from 9th to 12th grade. And basically we would meet every 6 weeks. The principal would be there, the assistant principal, the guidance counselors, special ed, everyone would be around the table, and we would go over case students' records that had been red flagged. So for us, a red flag would be a 60% and lower per course. And then, so if, for example, Paul, one of our students in the 10th grade, had 2 courses under 60%, we would look at the comments from the teachers and we would craft an individual plan per student. And then everyone around the table would have something to do, or someone around the table would have a task. So either meet with the student, talk to the teacher for extra work, etc. So that was globally. The tool I'm presenting today is something specifically focused for your 12th graders, your senior students who are at risk of not graduating. And it's basically a student tracker. Now, there's a few little things that are interesting about this student tracker, and I'll share these points with you right now. So basically, what's interesting with this tracker is that, I'm just going to grab my notes here, is that you can make sure that all of the teachers in the school can know what's happening. So what the principal did in this case was she shared this tracker among the staff, and she was very conscious in doing so because she wanted to make sure that every teacher was invested in the success of these students. So let's say there were 125 students on this tracker, and the ones who were red flagged were obviously identified. So teachers would receive this in an email every 6 weeks or so, and they would see, oh, Paul, he was my student last year, and I see that he's missing a few something, maybe a credit, or he doesn't have his volunteer hours for his diploma. So what would happen is that there would be a teacher assigned to a student. So as a support, as a coach, just as someone there, an adult, a trusting adult that the student can go to for extra encouragement. The teacher would just check in with the student, be a present adult for the student to help them succeed and to kind of give them a little bit of a push. So of course, this was voluntary for teachers. It was presented during a staff meeting to see, here are our students, who wants to be a support system for this student, that student, etc. And then the list would be generated with these volunteers. And then as the tracker was shared regularly, this would kind of add a little bit of a pressure to say, oh, you know what, I haven't checked in with my student in a while. I better call him in and see how he's doing and see if I can offer extra support and resources. So I'll just show you what this looks like, just to give you a little bit of an idea. So this is the example of the high school graduation tracker. So again, it depends where you're from, but this can be obviously tailored to your needs. This is from the States and I'm from Ontario. So there's a few columns here that wouldn't apply to our schools, but it just gives you a general idea. So of course you have the student ID number or the name. Here they just put the ID number for obviously confidentiality reasons. The cohort, so the year they're graduating, or the year, basically the year they're graduating, the grade level. Now internship credit earned, yes or no. In Ontario, you could have, do they have the requirements from their EQAO testing, their provincial testing? Do they have their volunteer hours, their 40 hours of volunteer work, etc.? The classes that are required to graduate, the classes failed and the ones they have to catch up. So you can see the ones who are red flagged. So this is the grid that would be sent out to the tracker, that would be sent out to the staff. So if I knew I had a couple of students under my mentorship, I would go look and say, oh dear, a couple of my students are in the red, I better act, right? So it's just keeping this front and center. The whole school is involved. Even though you no longer have these students in your class, they still are your students. They belong to the school. We're still responsible for them. So this was the idea behind the graduation tracker. It's a bird's eye view of what it looks like, how we can keep an eye on those students who need that little boost throughout the year. And again, they started the 9th grade tracking students. They kind of went back to see, okay, so students who are in the 9th grade who started failing classes would pop up on this grid because they were at a higher risk of not obtaining their diploma. So I thought that was a really cool tool, and I wanted to add it here for you. So I will be adding the link to this tracker. Again, the credit for this tool comes from the certificate for school management and leadership course from the Harvard University. And this was a tracker shared within the course from one of the principals who was represented in a case study. So for all those high school principals, this is a great tool to help keep your teachers accountable, to help keep your students who are struggling top of mind with a one-pager of where they're at on their journey towards obtaining their diploma. So I hope this was of service to you. Let me know. Oh, and by the way, this tracker is also great for elementary school principals as well, if you're tracking students with certain challenges and things like that. So if you have an MTSS in place and you want to have a one-pager to track your students, this also works very well. So it just helps keep those students who are struggling top of mind with an action plan to make sure they don't slip through the cracks. So I hope this has been of service to you. Let me know if I can be of further assistance. Send me an email. Simply visit thefirstyearprincipal.com and you can get lots of free resources, and make sure to check out the First Year Principal Classroom as well for on-demand classes. Take care and bye for now.